Wanted to give you a little bit of guidance on your papers that I presume you'll be spending the portion of your weekend that's going to be spent on this class on writing those. Anyway, a few things to tell you about. One is what's going to be your central point of the paper, and you should orient your paper to arguing something like, if you've got a really high-performing country, the country should maintain the policies XYZ that have been so successful in leading to growth so far. Or if you've got a struggling country, hopefully you've done the research and can say the country needs to address this and this as soon as possible to put itself on a successful path toward economic development. So some thesis in regard to either maintaining current policy or making a set of specific policy recommendations. As far as the outline goes, I want to talk about the outline, the sources, what exhibits you have, and some pitfalls to avoid. As far as the outline, have a very short introduction. I'm talking half a page to a page, or short, and then dive right into the real income per capita history. And we know that income per capita isn't the end-all, be-all measure of development, but it's a pretty good start. And you've got that good Penn World Table data. Make sure you cite your sources adequately. Purdue OWL is a website that can help you with the nuts and bolts of writing and also with citing. OWL like the bird, Purdue like the university, Purdue OWL. Anyway, by the time you present that Penn World Table data in year-on-year form in a graph, and notice the inflection points when the trend is upward, when it's down, when it's flat, and then do your research, what's going on in those periods, you can accomplish that writing in fairly good order. After that, does that reflect the human experience? I would include some, not exhaustive, but a few human indicators of development. So infant mortality, life expectancy, average calories per day, maybe those three, but then also some sense of distribution, maybe the share of wealth held by the top 20 divided by the share of wealth held by the bottom 40. Those are common measures. Have them at decadal points. The per capita income data you've got year on year. The World Bank data, you could do a year on year, but you'll see there's not much change. I'd present these data in tabular form, in a way I'll talk about in just a moment, and decade by decade. And then talk about the institutions, the institution development in the country. Remember the institutions of capitalism in the reading, in the core econ text reading. But also this is where you'd bring in the Transparency International source that I mentioned in Tuesday's class, and the Index of Economic Freedom. I think it's the Heritage Foundation that does that one. These would be measures that you could cite every 10 years index or so, give a rough sense of the trajectory of the economy. And in that Transparency International does a country-by-country report. And then have a conclusion, very brief, one paragraph, a quarter of a page, half page, something very short. This is a short paper, and you can't spend a lot of time on talking through each point, because you'll be at 10 pages instead of 5 pages. 5 to 7 is the target. As far as sources, the material from the course, the core econ reading, the articles that we read, where they apply. So that I expect you to cite if it helps. And then I'm going to say 2 country-specific sources, and these aren't like CIA reports of data, but these I think you're going to need at least 2, and maybe only 2, given the brevity of the assignment. A source or two sources that where some experts discuss or analyze the development history of the economy. So there are OECD country studies. If your country is a member of the OECD, you know there's all sorts of material if you look for it. I'm just asking you to find 2 good sources because I don't expect you to know it right out of the top of your head. I'll tell you a story. A very good student I had a few years ago came into my office like the day before this paper was due, and oh, Phil, I can't find anything on my country. So I was like, oh, really? At that time I wasn't using a standing desk, and I wheeled my chair over to my computer, and it was at a separate desk, and did a Google search, his country name and economic policy. And, out of the top 10 hits, 4 at least were really, really good for what he needed. I'm not asking you to have 4. I'm asking you to have 2, and 1 probably is real important, and then skim at least one other one just to make sure that there's not a huge divergence of opinion on the development path. Anyway, and if there is, just convey that to your reader. So that's what's expected. Remember, you're looking at a period of economic development that lasts between 60 and 70 years, 1950 to 2014. That's a lot. All right, what else do I have for you? As far as exhibits, you might have, and remember, there's 5 to 7 pages of text, so your exhibits may well take up 2 to 3 pages, in which case the number of pages you submit would grow. But you might start with a map with the country and highlighted on a world map, or with a inset of the country on a world map, or just with the country and describe just a little bit of geography, a little bit. Don't spend more than a sentence talking about it. Then you want that graph on real GDP per capita divided by population, year on year, Summers and Heston data.